Bali in Indonesia and Rome in Italy. Two places that apparently are very distant, two cultures that apparently are very different. And yet, there is one element that I think is really interesting that they have in common. Now, for sure, they share many more things, but this one in particular is something that I want to talk about in this video. But it's not something that I want to analyze in any way. It's just an idea, it's just a thought that I want to share. And it is about a paradox. A paradox that is not in the places themselves, but in the people, in the local people. Everywhere in the world. So, you can change Bali with some other place and Rome with some other place. I am using Bali because I am here right now and I'm shooting this video right now. You can see a traditional Balinese shrine. And Rome because it's the place, it's the city where I grew up. And Rome, I think, it's very interesting because it's a city that is so ancient, with such a long and ancient history, that we can use it as a universal symbol. Everyone knows the city of Rome, and everyone knows certain things of the city of Rome. For example, the Colosseum, or for example, the Vatican, right? There are other places like this all over the world, right? I don't know, the Great Wall of China, or the Eiffel Tower in Paris, or the Statue of Liberty in New York, right? But Rome, because I mean I grew up there, I'm using it as an example, but of course you can change it with anything you like. But where is this paradox? What is this paradox that I'm talking about? It's in the fact that there are certain things that everyone knows about, but no one knows anything about them. So what I mean is, everyone knows about them, but nobody knows anything about them. I explain myself better. If you ask to anyone where the Colosseum is, probably everyone will know, right? That is in Rome. Probably even everyone will be able to picture the Colosseum in his mind, because it's such a symbolic place, right? And of course, if you go to Rome and you ask the locals, the Romans, what is the Colosseum and where it is, everyone will know. But if you ask them anything about it from a historical perspective, or from a cultural point of view, or its, I don't know, meanings and symbology, well, it's not gonna be that easy to find someone who will know, right? Unless it's a very specific exception, so someone who either knows that kind of things because it's his job, so it's, I don't know, some sort of a professor or maybe a tour guide, or someone who knows it because it's his passion, right? But a normal person will unlikely know, unfortunately. So sometimes this can get very frustrating. In a place like Bali, for example, that also has a very long history and profound, very deep culture with a lot of symbology and esoterical meanings, it's really hard to find someone who can clearly explain these things. And of course, very often what happens is that many locals, they know that you don't know, but they don't know themselves. But you don't know that they don't know. So it's very easy for them to make some things up, which it's something that happens sometimes. Not in a bad way, absolutely, don't get me wrong, in a very naive way. Like you ask about some maybe spiritual meaning of some temple. What is this for? It's protection, you know, just very simple things. But to find like real meanings, real history, it's not very easy sometimes. So as I am here in Bali, I really like to share sometimes some stories, some tales about some Balinese legends, Balinese mythology, symbology, these kind of things. But it's really hard, it's not easy, because it's not easy to dig information out, and I am not specialized in a Balinese history and related things. So this is the thought that I wanted to share, right? I think before I was screaming because I was by that waterfall and it was very noisy. And now I am going down to show you this shrine that I think is really beautiful and really fascinating, and it's related to the very first video that I published on this channel. If you haven't seen it, you can find it on the channel, here, whatever. It's the video about Kebo Iwa, where I give a brief introduction, a short story about this legendary Balinese mythological hero known as Kebo Iwa. Now, there is one aspect of Kebo Iwa's legend, of Kebo Iwa's story, that I really appreciate, and I think it's really interesting for a foreigner, for a tourist that comes here to Bali. And it's about the fact that Kebo Iwa was helping villages and local villagers by using his magical powers, his supernatural abilities, to dig riverbeds and caves, and to carve with his magical fingernails temples and shrines. And this shrine, where I am right now, it's attributed to Kebo Iwa, that he carved with his magical fingernails. He carved this shrine with his fingernails, and apparently, as far as some locals of this village told me, but of course here we go again to the concept that I was expressing before, right? That's why I wanted to share it. Even the cave that is here, Kebo Iwa carved this cave as well. Carved, not carved, he dig it out. And why not, maybe even the riverbed, right? So I'm gonna turn the camera around and I'm gonna show you the cave. Actually, when I started the video, I was on the other side of the cave, and it goes through this cliff, and this river basically passes through. And up in this cliff there is this shrine, which is it's called Candi Tebing Kelebutan. Candi in Indonesian means shrine, and Tebing means cliff. So it's a shrine in the cliff. You can see how beautiful it is. So it's something very, very small, but I think it's really fascinating. There are so so many places in Bali that are attributed to Kebo Iwa, as I mentioned in the very first video. So sometimes I like to share some of these places, and it's really quiet. There is no one here right now. Really peaceful. So I hope you enjoyed the view of the shrine, and perhaps I will keep going sometimes with some extra stories on Kebo Iwa. Thank you for watching.